All right, you guys, we're back for another retro review. This is The Wire, season 2, episode. Oh, what episode are we in? Season 2, episode 7. All right. So we start this episode off. We have Bodie, and he is looking for a floral arrangement for Dee. It is, it's after Dee's, he died. They're getting ready for the funeral. And Bodie doesn't know exactly what he wants. Bodie probably ain't never bought a flower arrangement before. And so he's talking to the guy about what he's looking for. And he can't really quite put his finger on what he wants. So the guy ends up taking him in the back and showing him some flower arrangements. And so now he got the hood flower arrangements in the back. He's got the flower arrangements that look like a gun. The flower arrangements that look like a cell phone. The flower arrangements that got the Lexus symbol and the BMW symbols. And Bodie was like, yeah, this is what I was talking about. So he said, well, how did your friend die? He's like, man, he offed himself. He got sent down. He had to do a bid. I guess he couldn't take it. He said, part of me, don't really have no respect for how he went out. But then there's a part of me, we went through a lot together. So I'm kind of torn, about how I feel about the situation. But I want to send him out in style. So he talks the guy into doing a flower arrangement that looks like the towers. He was like, yeah, we worked together down for a little while down at the towers. He was like, you want me to make a flower arrangement that look like the towers, a housing project? He was like, yeah. Dude was like, all right, I guess I can make that happen. And Bodie, of course, pulls out a knot of money. And if he didn't know if he could make it happen before, he damn sure know he could make it happen now, right? So okay, I don't know if the camera was rolling or not. I apologize. If I'm repeating myself, then I apologize. But Frankie went down to go set up a situation with the dude that was selling the drugs for Ziggy. And he had to let him know that he not Ziggy. And he not going to be dogging him like he dogged out Ziggy. And they make an arrangement on how much they going to sell the package for and how much it's going to be. He said, and not only are you going to give me my money on time, but you're going to give me Ziggy monies too. So I hate to... Hope I didn't just repeat myself. I'm going to have to check it out when I'm done. I have to edit it. But now while this is going on, we got freaking Frag, a.k.a. Hurt, and... Why I can't remember nobody's name today. I'm worse than normal. Golly. Herc and Carver. Good Lord. They go down to like a little spot shop where they can get all this high-tech equipment because they're trying to get some headway on the hand-to-hands because they're like, we're not making any headway. We've been sitting here watching them sell drugs and back and forth and nothing's happening. So they have this like little microphone that they can, it's like we got to get closer to hear the conversations. So they're talking to the shop owner and the shop owner was like, yeah, yeah, y'all can use it, it's $1,200. And they were like, $1,200? Like, what about, we're cops, we're Baltimore's finest. This is for a case. He was like, sure, you can get us a requisition. He was like, sure, you give me a requisition, no problem. But you think I'm about to, just let you borrow and, just give it to you? Like, nah, dude, this is expensive equipment. So he was like, all right, well, can we just borrow it for, 24 hours? He said, sure. I need a credit card to secure it on, and you can take it 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever. So they end up using Carver's credit card, right? Carver was like, why we can't use one of your credit cards? Herc was like, I ain't got no damn credit cards. He was like, all my credit cards is maxed out. Stop playing. I ain't got no credit cards for you. So he ends up, now I lost my daggone train of thought, child. Anyway, neither here nor there. They end up taking the equipment. Now, later on in the episode, I'm just going to knock this out. Later on in the episode, they're actually observing. They put the little equipment inside of a tennis ball, like a beat up old tennis ball, and they left it laying in the street. But they left it laying in the street near where the guys do the business. And it's actually working. They're actually picking up some conversations. They're actually getting, some conversations. And that's when they realized that Frankie is there. And they were like, wait a minute. They catch his name. And they were like, wait a minute. The last name, of course, is the same as his uncle, the guy that they're watching down to the Union Hall. And they're actually able to make that. They're not able to get him on a sale, but they're actually able to make the connection. They, they look up the last name. They find out who he is, where he lives, and they find out that he's connected to the union head. Now, of course, they think that the union head has something to do with the drugs when he really doesn't. But it doesn't matter. They're starting to make these connections like they did with Avon Barksdale. But yeah, they're able to do that. So we're gonna get back to that. But honey, the dude picked up the tennis ball and started bouncing the tennis ball and playing with it. And they're listening, and Herc is like, Carver's getting nervous. Carver's like, oh my gosh, she's getting nervous. Baby, that boy threw that damn tennis ball down the street. Carver jumped up so fast, ran out of that little place where they were hiding, ran down the street. The tennis ball was in the middle of the street. Honey, he tried his best to get to that tennis ball. Here come a tractor trailer, ran over that daggone tennis ball 20 ways. Sorry, Carver. $1,200 on your credit card is a wrap. Anyway. Now, Lansford, he done talked to his boss and Rawls, and they done pulled Daniels in, and they're trying to convince Daniels that he should take these 14 bodies off of them. And Daniels was like, I might have been born that night, but I wasn't born last night. He said, listen, all I'm trying to do is do this favor so that I can get my ass out the basement. I ain't trying to make no waves this time. I ain't trying to make no case. I ain't trying to make no name for myself. I ain't trying to solve the world's mystery. All I'm trying to do is I'm going to observe these union boys for a couple of weeks, put some paperwork together, and I'm going to get the hell out of there, and I'm going to get back on track the way I was. So, thanks but no thanks. You can keep your 14 bodies. I'm going back to my place. Honey, Raw's going to look over at Lansford and be like, he's not as dumb as he looks. Now, for the first time, I took that real racial from him. Real racial. Not the first time. I shouldn't say the first time. So, Bunk has come up with an idea with Beatty. He said, listen, we have to convince those union guys that we're not looking at them anymore. We've got to convince them that we've moved on so that they can let their guard down. Because right now they're being very careful. They got their guard up because they feel like we looking at them. So he convinces her to ride around, put her uniform back on, ride around in the car a little bit, and so that so it can convince them that, hey, we're not on the radar anymore. So she talks to, she ends up talking to, the union head dude, and she lets him know, like, listen, the case is over. They couldn't make the case. They've moved on. They got me back on, detail, but they're not going to, but I'm not going to be here long. They're going to have me, back, they're going to have me on another dock. And he was like, really? She was like, yeah, we couldn't shake, they sent your boys down to the grand jury. They didn't even shake. So, it is what it is. It's back to business as usual. And Frank was like, oh, okay. And they got to talking a little bit. She did a good job because I think Frank really was convinced, right? So we get back. So, of course, now we still got Freeman watching the docs. And they notice that the pattern is starting to pick back up again of stuff coming up missing. They realize, okay, it must have worked. They must be listening to us. Now, while all this is going on, Frank and some of the other union guys are looking at this presentation from some big company talking about how they're going to come into Baltimore and they're going to clean up the docks and they're going to cut down manpowers and they're going to bring these machines in that'll be able to do more work faster with less, with less hours for workers, which of course sounds all good to the business side, but for the union side, they ain't happy to hear it at all. And Frank, once again, is feeling the pressure like, oh my gosh, like my union is dying right in front of me. I'm just not sure what we're going to do to fix it, Later on in the episode, we see Frank meeting with, the guys again, and they're just getting really restless. And we see him meeting with the black guy, and it seems like they have a system worked out where the presidency switches over every certain amount of years, and for I guess 8 years it's the white guys, and then another 8 years it's the black guys, and I guess that's how they achieve some sort of racial harmony. Well, Frank knows that he's got this little underground business working, and so he's not really ready to give up the presidency, and it seems like he's just being greedy and doesn't want to stop being president. But in our reality, he knows that if he is no longer the person in charge, he's not the president, then his little business gets exposed. Because people know he doing something to get the money, but they don't know to the extent. And of course, if the new people come in and they don't want to go along with the get along, Frank knows that that's going to be even a bigger problem. So it looks like Frank is just trying to be, Billy Badass and don't want to relinquish and don't want to follow the rules that they've been following for probably 20, 30 years. And that's going to become an issue too, Now, down to Dee's mama house, honey. Down to Dee's mama house. Everybody is there. They sad. They doing what black folk do. Everybody showing up with food. And of course, Idris Elba shows up with some food. And he is playing, he's playing his part well. He's playing best friend to Avon well. He shows up and he's talking to Dee's mama. And he's trying to, comfort her. And she's upset and crying. And, she's unconsolable. And of course, there's a part of her that blames herself. She knows that, she knows she put her son in that position, following in the family business, knowing that her son really wasn't really about that life. So, of course, nobody really realizing that he was murdered. But Idris Elba plays this role the whole time. I mean, he's comforting her and, and then at the funeral, he's all comforting her and got his arms and assuring her of this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, you are such a dirty, dirty dog. I mean, a dirty, dirty dog. And when he meets up with old boy to, I guess, make the final payment, old boy was like, yo, so, I mean, this might be none of my business and all, but did Avon know that you did that? Like, and it just basically told him, you right. It ain't none of your business. I said, oh, okay. All right, then. Now, down to the bar, the dudes are fucking with Ziggy, right? Basically, they done faked up some attorney documents, basically saying that some woman is taking him for child support. Come to find out, the woman is like the neighborhood hoe, okay? Frankie comes in there with money for him, but of course, he's like, I don't even, like, I can't even be happy about the fact that you're bringing me this money because they done took me for child support. And the dudes at the bar keep playing Love Child by the Supremes. And finally, Frankie was like, listen, he calls the number on the paper that's supposed to be the lawyer's office, and it ends up being the cell phone of the dude that keeps playing Love Child by the Supremes. Listen, they are fucking with Ziggy because they can. Okay? Because they can. Now, down to the script club, Press Belusky and Kima have still been going to the script clubs, trying to see, if they can keep up, figure out what's going on with the women. And they realize that there are some women, there that, fit the description. They got the accents and all that good stuff. And what ends up happening is they end up following the handler, the guy that they believe to be the women's handler. They end up following them, and they going into this particular apartment building, and they're able to figure out that they're in that apartment building, but they have to figure out where in the apartment building. So they come up with a scheme. Kima pretend like she got to go to the bathroom. Prez Belusky watches the elevator go up. When they go in, they're going to the underground garage, but Prez Belusky, aka Pastrami Sandwich, follows the elevator all the way to the 6th floor. So they realize that, okay, they're keeping the girls up on the 6th floor. So yes, this is the right location. This is where they're keeping the girls, and they got them on the 6th floor. So all this stuff is starting to come together, right? It's starting to come together. Now, Freeman ends up talking to his wife. Now, his wife is not happy with him. His wife is not feeling him because she is just like, she doesn't like he was supposed to be retiring and going to law school, and she don't like the fact that he stayed there, right? So he ends up basically talking to her and saying, listen, I got this opportunity to try to make this case, and if I can solve these 14 murders, not only am I back on track like I thought I was, but I'm like back on the super track. And she was like, I don't even know why you're doing this to yourself. Like, you already know the situation. You already know that this is not going to turn out well for anybody. Why are we doing this? And he was like, yeah, but I had to take this opportunity. Like, I know you wanted me to leave. I know that's what the plan was, but I had to take this opportunity to put myself in a better place, because I just couldn't leave. I just couldn't leave the way they were. And his wife was like, all right, do what you do. And Freeman in his mind feels like he got a little bit of leverage this time, because he's not sort of coming in on the back end. Like, he's got a little bit of leverage, so he ends up going back to Rawls and letting Rawls know, listen, I'll go ahead and take these murders off your hands, okay? But when we solve this case, it's me and all me. You don't get no credit. You don't get no parts of this, And of course, Rawls is like, all right, I don't give a fuck. Just take them. Just take them away. Like, I don't care. So, the guys, Freeman and the crew, come up with this scheme to try to follow. They figured out a pattern with the missing cargo, and they've come up with a plan to try to follow it so they can keep an eye and see where it actually goes, right? So, down to the fume. Okay, we got the fume going on. And like I told y'all before, Idris Elba, honey, is playing his position well. And when the important thing about the funeral to know is that Prop Joe came to pay his respects, and when it's over, him and Idris have a whole conversation, right? And he basically tells him, like, listen, I got the plug. Y'all know that Avon's been getting like shit ass, product. And he said, listen, I got the plug. It's coming straight off the boat. It ain't no middleman. I'm cutting it. I'm doing everything myself. It's good to go. And, he said, listen, I got the product, but I don't have as much, territory. You got all the territory. You ain't got no good product. So we just need to go ahead and make a deal, make it happen. Stringer Bell was like, all right, well, I need to talk to Avon. He was like, go ahead, talk to your boy. Now, Avon is feeling some kind of way. Avon is blaming himself. He was like, maybe I, didn't do the right thing by D. Like, I knew he was struggling. I knew he was hurting. Like, maybe I just didn't do the right thing by him. And he's really feeling some kind of way, And Stringer tries to tell Avon, listen, Prop Joe came to me with this deal. And Avon is like, hell nah. Like, we don't, like, you already know what it is. We don't fuck with him like that. So the answer is no, not now, not ever, no. And of course, Stringer knows the reality on the streets that the product ain't good. They ain't really got no good plugs, but okay. So, Nikki, I was calling him Frankie. I apologize, y'all. Nikki. He bought a container to Frank. Frank was like, yo, ain't nobody alive when it is it. He was like, nah, we good. He was like, all right, well, be careful. Stay low. You ain't been working on the docks lately, which means I know you making money in other places. Keep your head on a swivel kind of situation. Now, this happens to be the same cargo when Kima, Bunk, Freeman, all of them are down there. They got the sting operation moving. So they follow the cargo. They see when the cargo comes up missing. They get the name of the cargo that's missing. And they're able to actually follow it. And they follow the cargo to where it's abandoned, right? Frankie drives it off the lot. Horseface takes it off the dock, whatever. And it just sits there. So they're waiting for whoever's going to come and get the cargo. But they were able to see that it was taken and it was actually basically stolen. Now, Frank is dealing with, the union head, and he's basically telling them, listen, we need more money. And he's like, listen, we can't do but so much. Like, this is a dying dock. Like we're not going to keep throwing good money after bad. Like, we're going to do what we do, but you're asking for more, and we just ain't got more to give you. Mind you, dude showed up. They had a bag full of money, but Frank was like, listen, it's not enough. Like, it's not enough. Frank is winning a losing battle. I mean, he's fighting a losing battle with it as far as it comes to trying to save the docks and save the union. Now, while all of this is going on, Freeman and them, they present their case to the DA, right? Old girl from last season that, messed with your boy. And they find out that basically there's nothing they can do with this. They know that cargo is coming up missing, but they really don't know the full extent of what's going on with the cargo. And they can't prove that those women have anything to do with this missing cargo. Like, they don't have enough evidence. And basically they were like, so you mean to tell me that if the cargo was full of drugs, there's something you could do about it, but because the cargo was full of women, there's really nothing we can do? And she was like, listen, I don't make the laws, I just enforce them. Like, I'm sorry that there's some shit. Nikki is convincing his girlfriend that he's getting all this extra money. He done picked up an extra job, telling her to go look for an apartment, and they're gonna be able to do some things and, you know, figure some stuff out. I said, poor thing. She don't even realize her baby daddy done became a drug dealer, child. He done became a drug dealer. Now, unfortunately, while all of this is going on, we have an accident down at the docks. One of those containers done fell on the dude's leg. They call him New Charles, honey. It done fell on his leg. It crushed his leg. He ain't gonna never be able to work down to the docks again, okay? His career is pretty much over down at the docks. Now, Frank shows up at the widow's house. You know, he takes her a bunch of money. And, you know, of course, old boy was like, yo, where you getting this money from? The black guy that's been kind of dogging him lately, that's supposed to be the next president, he like, yo, where you get that money from? Frank was like, listen, don't worry about it. We take care of our own. It is what it is. And he was like, listen, you need to really be careful who you dancing with and the games you playing. Like, he know Frank is into some stuff that goes a little bit deeper than the occasional, you know, dibble and dabbling. Because I'm sure there's a certain level of expectation on the dock that it's going to be some dibble and dabbling. But he knows that Frank is into something way deeper. And he keeps telling him, yo, you need to watch your back. You need to watch your back. You need to watch your back. He keeps telling him. Paul McNulty is still trying to get back with his wife. His wife is like, listen, at the end of the day, I don't trust you. That's just what this boils down to. Like, I love you. I want to trust you, but I just don't. So, honey, he can't. That's pretty much it. Daniels tries to talk to his wife and convince her why it's a good idea for him to take these cases, take these bodies, and she is not trying to hear it. She is not here for it. So we're gonna see how this plays itself out. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.